I want to welcome you all here today. My name is Laura Alamillo, and I'm the Associate Dean for the Kremen School. And thank you. Thank you. I want to welcome you all here today to honor our colleagues, faculty and staff who have years of service in the Kremen School. I know we have families. I see some grandchildren. I see probably some parents here, and we want to welcome you to our school. The faculty and staff that we are honoring today have years of service in the Kremen School, and they are leaving a legacy of service and hours in various departments in the Kremen School. And so you're going to hear from people who have worked with them closely in the Kremen School, and you're going to hear various stories about their time here. And we all have our own stories, so hopefully we'll have some time to share with each other about how, in what capacity you have worked with these faculty and staff. So I'm going to call up, we're going to honor many people actually. This is a big year for us, and we're going to hear first from Dr. Loma Lee, who will talk about Dr. Pham, Dr. Kien Pham, and we will also honor Lisa Nyberg, who will be honored and spoken of by Colleen Torgerson, who will also talk about Jane Masulian, who is also retiring. Dr. Song Lee will talk about Dan Smith. Song Lee will also share her stories about Steve Kabatian. We will also honor our Dean, Dean Barry, who Jim Marshall will spend some time sharing some stories about our Dean. And then we also want to honor two one, Dr. Magdaleno, who is unable to be with us today. Dr. Loma Lee is our first speaker.
I was hoping I could be like third so I could hear what everybody else said, but here I am. So it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Kien Pham, one of my favorite people. The only way Dr. Pham would not be one of your favorite people is if you didn't get a chance to work with him, because he's really an amazing person. We actually started at the same time here in this, well, when the School of Education was over in the other buildings. I started with the Mini-Corps program in 1990, and that same year, Kien and Jim Marshall, Carol Boland, Roy Boland, quite a few faculty that started that same year. During that time, I got my doctorate and then eventually became a professor and a colleague of Dr. Pham. And maybe it's just the nature of being the kind of work that we do, but I didn't really get to know Kien. All I had to go on with him is in the hallway, right? You run into people, and if he's really nice and he'd say hello, it's like, oh, that's a nice guy right there, you know. And I guess it's just the nature of what we do, you know. But I had the pleasure of finally getting to work with Dr. Pham directly through a program called Co-Teaching in 2011. And after that, our relationship changed, and it was just an incredible experience to work with Dr. Pham. If you don't know him, he has a pretty amazing sense of humor. You have to really pay attention, but once you do, he will keep you laughing. We worked with something like 1,500 participants that went through workshops in the 7 years that we did the co-teaching training to get together. And one of the things that I noticed, he kept me laughing during the workshops, and I think that's what made it kept us all fresh, because like I tell my students, if you're bored, can you imagine how your students are? You know, and Kien, you know, always made it a lot of fun. One thing I learned about Kien is he will not go to a meeting unless lunch is served, so I knew he was going to be here today. So that's the first thing he asked. I'd say, Kien, are you going to that meeting? Are they serving lunch? He went to all of Jack Benninga's meetings because Jack would always have lunch for us, you know, and that was great. you know, I never realized how bold Kien was when we first went through the co-teaching training together, and we started to plan. He wanted to do one of those, that Abbott and Costello bit, who's on first? You know, and I was terrified, but he came in with a script. So I realized, I mean, he was a risk taker. And he did a little take on it, but his was bilingual in Spanish. Kien está en primera. Kien, get it? So, I mean, I was just like impressed. We never did it, but we had a lot of fun doing the workshops. I think in the 7 years that we did co-teaching, we worked with about 33 districts, and we made some great connections with people in the valley. It really helped us to get to know the educators in the valley in a great way. And it's just a shame that sometimes we don't get a chance to get to know one another in a deeper way, you know. And I felt very fortunate that I was able to become a part of that with you, Kien. You know, we went on a couple of conferences, and you know, we presented, and I think we got to know one another in a deeper way. And I just feel very blessed by that. You know, Kien, before he was a professor, was a chemist in a natural gas company. He was also a Google Socrates Fellow Math and Technology faculty. He's a very accomplished guy, but he's also a very humble guy, so you won't always know that about him. And so I actually felt very honored that they asked me to introduce you, you know, and with all my heart, I'm introducing you, Dr. Pham. I congratulate you on your decision. I know it's not an easy one, and you will now have the opportunity. One of the things I found out about Kien is he loves chicken enchiladas. So in order to keep him happy for co-teaching, I made sure that we had chicken enchiladas at every workshop, and now you can indulge both your passions, chicken enchiladas and playing internet chess. Instead of only 12 hours a day, now it's 18 hours a day, Dr. Pham. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Kien Pham.
And we want to present to Dr. Pham a brick, which will say Math Educator.
Thank you, Jose. We have done about 900 workshops together. So do we discuss the co-teaching strategies now? Yeah? Jose told me that he would not introduce me anymore if I don't tell new jokes today. So, but I don't have any jokes today because I was too busy following the Academy Awards. So I want to say thank you to my parents, to the producers, to the directors. Actually, they are the same people. I also want to thank my wife, Hương, for her Best Supporting Role. Okay, and the winner is my retirement. Thank you. I knew that the School of Education places a lot of importance on teaching. So after my first year of teaching here, I showed my wife the student evaluations, and she said, "That's okay, we can move to Cleveland." I knew I was not ready for prime time. So the next few years, I tried harder, and eventually I showed my students' evaluation of me to a colleague in the C&I department. And I told the colleague, I said, "Look, colleague, look at my scores here. I got a 6.1 on the evaluations." And the colleague told me, "You are holding the paper upside down." The thing is this, after a while, I found out that I actually teach the same group of students right after the semester that Jose taught. From their comments about Jose, I could see that the students were in awe of Jose. they really think Jose is Jesus. Okay? I know he doesn't do miracles, but I'm sure he can walk on water if the temperature outside is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Because of that, so I wanted to impress Jose. So before I give out the student evaluations to my students, I passed out the Starbucks cards first. Then, after I got the evaluations, I gave to Jose and I said, look at this, I got a 4.9 on the student evaluations. And Jose told me, I know, sometimes I get a low score of 4.9 too. But the moments that I remember best were the moments that I shared with my students. The students showed me grace. It is the kindness and the forgiveness that I did not deserve, but they gave to me anyway. For instance, when I tried to make a point in geometry, the students gave me their unparalleled attention, even though when my explanation went in circles. Of course, they also laughed at my jokes. It is a requirement in my classes. The students indeed were the wind beneath my wings. All the moments and experiences that I have shared with the students have made it a short 28 years. I feel like I am the star in the best picture, Life. Thank you for the memorable events.